one of my friends who was letting me play Silent Hill, the Silent Hill games, also had Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. It was a first-person survival horror, but this one was actually meant to be first-person because this one would have had more broken controls if it was in third person. But despite about the controls, one of my favorite moments about that game, the moment that really did scare me, was one of the most intense moments I ever had in the game was the part in that game where the whole town was trying to kill you in your hotel room, and what you were doing was trying to lock all the doors, making sure that nobody's trying to kill you, and at the same time trying to find a way to get out there. I remember that moment. My heart was racing. I mean, like it was like beating harder and harder the more closer and closer it gets. And, you know, even if you die and repeat the game over again, you can still feel that intensity and the pressure building up at that moment in gaming. What I really didn't like about the game is that how sad-driven the game actually is. The one moment that really did terrify me is like when I was going inside the witness house, and the witness wasn't there. The daughter was the only one remaining in the house, and she looked depressed. That moment was really something. I remember talking to this girl, her name was Ramona, and she was like saying, don't go upstairs, my mommy is locked up in the closet. And we were like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? And she was like, I don't love my mommy as much as I love my daddy. And then we couldn't do anything but just go up there because this was a story-driven game. And we went up there, and in that moment where we saw that the mother was actually a monster and popped out and knocked us out and killed her own daughter, oh man, I never had tears drop out of my eyes like that ever again. And you know, I never got a chance to play that game ever again since my friend moved out of Korea at that moment in time. You know, I always keep saying that old games used to be scary, but not anymore. I mean, I played games like Doom, Alone in the Dark, that never holds up to being scary anymore. But pretty much one of the most scariest old game, that really did terrify me, was Clock Tower. Not the PS1 version. I can't believe I'm admitting this, but that 16-bit game was pretty much the scariest 16-bit game ever. I can't manage, you know, the scares of being pressured, of finding a way to hide and getting rid of Scissors Man, who's also trying to kill you. And I really like how classic this story really is. This classic horror story. It was really intense. The one moment that really did terrify me in my last days of high school was the part where Jennifer went down to the cave underneath the mansion, and then she witnessed that giant baby. My God, was that the most unbelievable and unholy thing I've ever seen in gaming. That moment, I immediately thought my heart just fell off, because, you know, it was just the most gruesome thing I've seen since Reagan from The Exorcist. And the part where the baby was trying to kill you, I mean, I felt sorry, I felt sick, and I felt scared at the same time because of what this baby has encountered. This baby was huge. The part where I burnt the baby, burned the baby alive from being killed, it really was pretty much one of the most intense moments I've ever had from an old game that was actually scary. But the one survival horror that actually is pretty much one of the most ingenious survival horror game I've ever played was, hands down, Eternal Darkness. This game is pretty much the most underrated Nintendo game I've ever played. I mean, a lot of people would say Super Mario Sunshine is underrated and all that stuff, but this one had so much promise. It looked like it was the future of survival horrors, but it was just a commercial failure. But my friend, who was a big fan of the Nintendo GameCube, had Eternal Darkness, and I have to say that was pretty much the most innovative survival horror I've ever played. And you know, I always say that surprises are the major focus about making the game scary. That game had surprises everywhere. What it had, that game, is that it had a sanity meter where if it goes all the way down, your character starts to lose his mind. I really love the story in that game. I mean, I really want to do a review on that game someday, but if you ask me what is my favorite survival horror game of all time, it's hands down Eternal Darkness, because that game is just unbelievably amazing. The way they did scares, no other media could actually possibly do it. Not even books, not even movies, not even TV itself, just video game. The way you're fooled, the game fools you. This was the concept that Psycho Mantis innovated, and I thought that was the best part of the whole entire game, and I wished there was more. And Eternal Darkness, however, really took that concept and made that Psycho Mantis concept into a whole game. You will be fooled. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but because you need to try this game out. But this game, most promising games that would have had a lot of success. I really wish there was a sequel for this game because the story is kind of incomplete. And seeing Silicon Knights just making 2 human, that was just completely lame. There was not a survival horror game that I could ever encounter that manages to surpass the awesomeness that game had, until I played another game that one of my subscribers has recommended, and that was Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It has been released about a month ago during this recording, but this game, I don't really like to say that it's the scariest game I've ever played, because Eternal Darkness still holds up as my favorite, but this one has to be at least second. My nomination for Game of the Year, because this game is pretty much, think of Dark Corners of the Earth mixed with Eternal Darkness. A lot of people, the subscriber that recommended me to play this game, oh my god, he was like telling me that this was a spiritual successor of Eternal Darkness. I couldn't turn this game down. And when I finally got a chance to play that game, oh man, talk about the most immersive horror game I have ever played. Basically, it's an adventure game. If you play Penumbra, I played Penumbra afterwards, and it was made by the same guys. So if you're a big fan of Penumbra, I strongly, strongly recommend this game, because this game is just brutal. This game is just really out of the ordinary. I really love this game. Well, hands down. I mean, I've seen a lot of Let's Plays playing this game on YouTube, and not even one guy I know of can't even handle the game. I mean, like every walkthrough I've seen that played this game, I seen them scream, and I had that reaction too playing that game. And right now I'm already sweating just thinking about that game, because I haven't slept in days since I first played that game. I mean, like, I just finished it right now, and I strongly recommend all of you guys to actually play this game, because this one really was scary. I mean, if you saw the Child Eater from Pan's Labyrinth, man, the monster is coming after you. There's no way you can defend yourself, which is the only downside about this game. But if you could defend yourself, I don't think it would be that as scary as it is right now. But this game really was one of the most scariest games I have encountered in this generation. Lots of people say that games aren't scary anymore. That's because you've been still stuck on your ass on the mainstream game, on all the stuff that the mainstream gaming has thrown at you. And a lot of games like Dead Space and Alan Wake were never scary to begin with. And, games like Bioshock and System Shock 2 really does hold up to be really scary. I was kind of disappointed that Bioshock 2 wasn't even better than Bioshock 1. So that wraps up everything I want to say about me and scary games. So I tried a lot of scary games, but they don't really hold up to how scary it is in my personal opinion. I mean, a lot of people have been playing Resident Evil 4 and say it's the game that destroyed scares in gaming. I'm just saying to you guys that scares in video games are still out there. And it's about time that, stop staying with this old series that ran out of gas. It's about time to look for other games that are actually scary. I mean, like, there's a lot of them out there that are still scary. Like, the Penumbra series, the game called Ju-On. And my strongest recommendation for the game of the year for me is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. So I like to say, everybody, thank you very much for watching my videos. Happy Halloween, and I'll see you all later.